I'm going to say something most business owners are going to hate to hear. Sometimes the best time to sell your business is long before you feel ready to hit what you actually think is your peak. Not because the market is perfect. It may not be. And definitely not because someone at the golf course said multiples are high right now. Because at a certain point, your business becomes more valuable as an asset to transition than as a job to wake up to and just keep grinding through. Here's the part that's going to hurt a little bit. The three things that you're probably most proud of about your business, that it needs you, that it's worth a lot of money, and that you can run the whole thing yourself, might actually be the three things making it impossible to sell for what it's actually worth. Because most owners judge the business generally by one thing: how much money it actually makes them. Is it making them more money year after year? Because when you start thinking and focusing on an exit, that lens becomes almost useless, because a business can make you an absolute fortune and still be nearly impossible to sell, still trap you for years after the sale, and still be worth far less to a buyer than the number that's in your head. I'm Sean Todd. I'm a certified financial planner, and for 21 years, I've helped Canadian business owners turn business wealth into actual personal financial clarity. And in this video, I'm going to ask you three questions, and each one exposes something about your business that you probably just aren't seeing right now because it's disguised as a strength or something you think is actually helping you. And it may not be. So if you answer yes to all three, it doesn't mean you actually need to sell tomorrow. It means the clock has already started, and the owners who win their exit are the ones who saw it years in advance. Okay, let's get into it. And a quick note here: if you want help figuring out whether your business is actually ready to sell and what your exit would actually look like and how it might impact you financially, there's a link in the description to book a complimentary introductory meeting, and it comes directly to me. Question number one: is the business taking more than it gives? And I want you to answer this one honestly. The way you'd answer it at 11 p.m. when no one else is around and you're just staring at the ceiling, really thinking about your business. And it's not, is the business successful? The question is it still giving you more than it's taking out of you? You've been telling your spouse for years that the business actually doesn't interfere with your personal life, but we know it does. Probably more than you like and more than you want to talk about. Answer this for yourself. Do you still have energy for it? Or are you just running on obligation and momentum? And when you picture 5 more years of this, do you feel energized or do you just kind of feel tired? And if your honest answer is that it's taking more than it gives, well, that's a warning sign. And it's not just a bad week. In 1995, business consultant Michael Gerber published what is still considered one of the most defining books in entrepreneurship, The E-Myth Revisited: Why Most Small Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About It. Gerber argued that one of the biggest mistakes owners make is becoming actually trapped inside the very business that they actually created. His famous advice that you've probably heard before is work on your business, not in your business. The idea is simple but extremely powerful. Build people, build systems, and build a business that serves your life instead of actually becoming a prisoner of it. And if your business can't function with you, you haven't really built a business. You've created yourself a really awful, demanding job. So the reason you're exhausted is almost always the same reason your business becomes hard to sell, both now and later. You're exhausted because the business actually needs you. It actually needs you in the middle of absolutely everything. You're the HR person. You're the marketing department. You're the head sales guy. You're the complaint department. And you're probably chief of absolutely everything. And a buyer looking at that business that needs you in the middle of everything doesn't actually see a valuable asset. They see a single point of failure that walks out the door the day that you actually leave. So your exhaustion is telling you two things at once: that the business is no longer serving your life, and that it's carrying a hidden discount on its value because so much of it depends on you personally. And when both of these things are true, well, that's your first yes to some of these questions. And yes here doesn't mean you're failing, but it really should catch your attention. It means the business has shifted from something that serves you into something that you're serving. And that's the moment to start really thinking about your exit. And while it may not actually be like some of the most famous exits we've seen in cinema, like this one here, you really should still have tons of energy left in you to build a really great one. Question 2. If you sold tomorrow, would you still be chained to it? And most owners, they'd want to say no. They would love to picture the cleaner version. Sign the papers, the money hits the bank account, and they drive away super fast. Done. But sit with a reality check here, because the honest answer for most owners is yes, they'd be chained to it, and they don't really know why yet. So here's what almost no owner realizes until they're deep into some kind of deal. A business sale today is rarely a clean check for the full price on closing day. It's structured. There's usually an earnout where a large chunk of your money depends on your business hitting targets for the next 2, 3, or sometimes 5 years. Targets you no longer fully control because you no longer fully run the place. There's often vendor financing where you're effectively lending the buyer the money to buy you out. So if they struggle, your payout, well, could be at risk. And there's usually an escrow holdback where part of the price is locked away for a year or sometimes more. And then on top of all that, well, that's the part no one likes to talk about. It's a tax. And depending on how the deal is structured and whether your shares even qualify for the capital gains exemption, a meaningful slice of what's left, well, it goes to the government. So the number you actually keep is smaller than that sticker price that you thought. And it arrives slower than you're picturing, spread over years and tied to conditions. So ask yourself honestly, if you sold tomorrow, would you get to walk away clean? Or would you spend the next several years working inside of a company that you no longer own, answering to some new boss with your payout rotting on their success and a chunk of it still sitting in someone else's account? And for most owners, the answer is probably yes. They'd still be chained to it. So the sale doesn't always set them free. It just changes their job from owner to an employee. And if the honest answer is that a sale today would still leave you tied to the business, financially or operationally, well, that's probably your second yes, because freedom isn't necessarily automatic when you sell. It has to be built into your deal, and you can only do that if you understand it years before you ever actually sit down across from that buyer. So this gap between what a business sells for and what it actually funds your life is exactly what I map out for owners at Acivda before they ever go to market and make this really important decision. And the link's in the description. It comes directly to me. All right, final question, and it's the one that determines whether you actually even have a business to sell. So question 3, does your business fall apart without you? And here's the honest test. If you disappeared for 3 months, no phone, no email, completely unreachable, would your business hold it together? Is it actually going to keep growing? Or is it slowly going to grind to some massive halt because you're the one who quotes every job, approves every hire, manages those key clients, and knows the suppliers personally and makes every decision for the company? And most successful owners, if they're honest, probably admit it's probably going to fall apart. And here's why that's so hard to swallow. The reason it falls apart without you is the exact same set of traits that made you really successful in the first place. Being able to do any job in the company, being the person clients trust personally the most, being the owner who can walk in and fix any issue. Well, that strength and capability is how you built this the whole time. It feels like your greatest strength, but it's still delivering results every single day. So your brain actually codes that as a strength. But a buyer looks at that identical trait and codes that as, wow, that's a risk. Because everything that lives in your head, in your relationships, in your instincts is a value that you just can't transfer. It leaves when you leave. So the more indispensable you are, the more indispensable that you've made yourself, the more of your business value is locked inside of the one person that the business actually isn't allowed to keep. So your superpower, from a buyer's point of view, it's nearly worthless because they actually can't buy it. So if your honest answer is yes, the business would fall apart without you, well, that's probably your third yes here. And it means a profitable business and a sellable business, well, they're probably two really different things. The good news is that this is fixable, but only with time, by deliberately making yourself less essential in the years just before you sell. Which brings me to what you actually do if you just answered yes to all 3 of these questions. So here's the payoff. Readiness, not panic. So let's just say you answered yes to all three questions I just posed. The business is taking far more than it actually gives. So selling today still leaves you very much chained to it. And the business would fall apart without you. We've determined that. So here's what most people think that actually means: panic, rush to the market, and let's get out. And that's exactly the wrong move. And this is how owners get the worst deal of their entire lives, because a distressed seller, an exhausted owner with a business that can't run without them, and no idea what they'd actually keep, is the easiest person in the world for a buyer to walk in and take advantage of. So three yeses don't mean sell now. They mean start building sale readiness, like right now. And there's a big difference. Sale readiness means getting the business to run without you, so a buyer sees transferable value. It means running on real numbers, so you know exactly what a sale needs to net you to fund your entire life. And it means getting your corporate structure, your shareholders agreements, your tax position, and your capital gains eligibility all lined up long before an offer actually shows up at your door. So here's the truth I've watched play out for 21 years. The best business exits almost never happen because the owner was forced to sell. They happen because the owner spent years getting ready so that when the right moment came or the right buyer showed up, they could say yes with confidence or no without any type of fear. And the worst exits happen to owners with no options. The best exits happen to owners with all of the options. And options are never built the month right before you sell. They're built in the years before you start thinking about it. So if you just answered yes three times, the move here is not to panic. The move is to start building your options today. So when it's time, you're the one holding all the levers. Now, here's what most owners get catastrophically wrong once they do sell. They assume that sale is actually the finish line, and they didn't realize that turning this big lump sum from a business sale into a secure, tax-efficient personal wealth is an entirely different game with its own set of traps. And that's exactly what I break down in this video right here, where I show you why everything changes for Canadians once they've built $2 million or more, including the tax traps and structural mistakes that quietly cost business owners an absolute fortune after the sale. And if you're thinking about your exit, well, that's probably the one you should watch next, and I'll see you there.